anything before it starts? Thanks.
Welcome to the Media Center. We have race winner Alex Rossi from Andretti Autosport. And Alex, I promise never again to say you weren't fastest in the session, because that was pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Half a second a lap for 55 laps in an hour and a half. That was that's probably as good as it gets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's probably one of the best race cars I've ever had. So huge hats off to the 2017 and Jeremy Millis and Rob Edwards and the whole group of guys. I mean, we couldn't quit for the whole season. But yeah, we just haven't really had it come our way as many times as we want for one reason or another. And it was good to be able to look into things after Texas and kind of understand, what was our mistakes and what was bad luck and all sorts of it. And to come out and be able to do what we did today was a huge testament to the whole organization. So it's what we needed for sure, and we'll enjoy it tonight and get to work on Toronto tomorrow morning.
As I saw it, there was one moment in the race for you, and that was the first corner, first lap. Let's tell us about that battle with Colton, and then did you have anything else the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to get a pretty good toe off of him into turn one, and I knew that the clean air was important, so when I had the window there on the outside, I went for it, and that really set our race up because clean air gives you the ability to manage your pace and tires and fuel and kind of just control it from there, and that's what we were able to do. The hardest part of the race was for sure the first stint with the Firestone alternate tires. I mean, there's definitely a performance advantage from them, but the degradation was quite high. And so it was about getting to our target lap on those tires, and for sure that was those last 3 laps. It was moving around quite a lot, but it was obviously the same for everyone else.
Is it difficult to keep focus when you're 20, 22, 25, 28 seconds out?
No, you're pushing every lap regardless of the gap, right? And you got to stay in that mindset and in the zone, and obviously when you have a gap that big, your concern is the yellow. And with how things have gone for us this year, I was waiting for it, and I was just hoping it didn't happen. And fortunately today there was no yellows, and we were able to bring it home from where we started.
Questions? We'll start here with on your left with Patrick.
I'll just start with the obvious on the yellow, potential yellow. We had that a couple pieces of asphalt that were down there, chunks from the curb down in 7, I want to say it was. Did they ask you about it? Did you mention it, or did you just say no, it's just fine?
No, they didn't ask. I mean, I think the race direction and Kyle has proven this year and really ever since he's been involved in the series that he's not interested in upsetting a race for kind of irrelevant things. I mean, we're not on an oval, so there's no safety concern with debris being offline. So yeah, I mean, it was a non-issue, and I think that's how it should have been called.
But it never came up. Did it cross your mind that might be the yellow we were going to get, and you didn't want it?
Not really.
Okay.
I think Jeremy, just to see how you guys think, Jeremy said if you'd pitted like 2 laps different, you would have led every lap of this race. So
Yeah.
Is this about as close to near perfection as you've had in your career?
I suppose so, yeah, from a number standpoint. Yeah, probably. I mean, I told the guys on the radio once we crossed the checker flag that it was the best car I've ever driven, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I don't care how well you're driving or what sort of talent level you're perceived to have, you can't do anything without a car underneath you. So the Andretti Autosport group, I think, was strong all weekend. Ryan had some bad luck in qualifying, otherwise he would have been right up there as well. So, this is something that each weekend we're trying to improve on our weak areas, and we're able to continue to chip away at it.
And now you've added Road America to a list that already included the 100, Indy 500, the win at Watkins Glen, and 2 Long Beach Grand Prix. So those are pretty big jewels.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for whatever reason, we haven't had a good result here. So it took 4 years to finally even get in the top 10. So, we, as I said at the beginning of the weekend, we've always had pace. We just haven't closed the deal on Sunday. So to be able to not only close the deal, but to do it in the way that we did feels good. And I love this racetrack. I love the crowd. I love the energy that exists here from the fans. So it's a special one for me for sure.
Were you bummed at all that you didn't lead every lap?
No. Unless there's a point for that we missed, no, it doesn't really matter.
Obviously, you've been second 3 of the last 4 races coming in. How frustrated were you getting from finishing second in Indy? Also, were you getting frustrated about trying to get back into victory lane?
I don't know if frustrated is the right word. I think it was more disappointment because we don't show up to finish second, right? And it wasn't that we were upset with second, it's that we were getting beat by the guys we were fighting in the championship, right? So that's where it was hurting us. But the thing that I was telling everyone is, we have pace. It's not that we're finishing second or 10th because we're struggling. I mean, we're there fighting for wins. We're just not getting it done. So it was a good one today to be able to close the gap to Josef. And yeah, I mean, there's a long road ahead of us, and by no means is it over. There's a lot of fighting left to do, and they're going to be tough competition.
How great for you that the rain held off. You guys are in victory lane and it starts pouring.
Yeah, you
That
never,
could have been really
you never want that. You either want it to start wet and be wet the whole way, or not rain at all. When you bring in intermittent weather conditions, there's variables and things that can be out of your control. So I'm glad that it stayed dry for the whole race. Glad for the fans and the people camping out there. I'm sure that wouldn't have been fun if there was a downpour in people's tents.
Okay.
Alex, first of all, congratulations. You said earlier you were pushing most of the time or all the time. You were not concerned that there maybe were troubles with the fuel consumption. And the second question, did the team do significant changes chassis-wise from qualifying to the race?
Yeah, I mean, we were pushing, but we were hitting our fuel number, so no, there was never a concern that we weren't using fuel. So that was a good thing. The car balance was just there to allow us to do the lap times, and no, we didn't change anything really overnight. We did some fine-tuning things, but we felt that the car that we had in qualifying was good. We just missed the conditions a little bit and didn't anticipate there being as much grip as there ultimately was in qualifying. So yeah, we knew we had a good race car. We were quickest in P2 on Friday. Had an engine issue in P3. Which Honda did a great job to get a new engine in for qualifying, which is no easy feat to be able to bring it up to the performance level in such a short period of time. So the fact they were able to do that, to give us a front row start, made quite a bit of difference today. So huge hats off to Honda and HPD.
David Mulcher on your right.
Bearing in mind the Penske's finished half a minute behind you, does that play into your considerations of where you want to drive next year?
I have no considerations.
Nothing whatsoever?
Nope.
It's in other people's hands?
It's in God's hands.
Is it?
It is.
Wow, okay. Is that God's Roger Penske?
The question is going to be a little more serious perhaps on the left-hand side.
Speaking of tire degradation that you talked about, saw you in the winner's circle. They look pretty ragged. How bad was it at the end?
Oh no, that's not big. We go around and pick up marbles
Okay.
for other reasons. The deg was pretty high on the red tires for sure, which is something that we knew going in. I mean, you get a lot of performance out of them, but they fall off harder than the primary tires. But I think the Firestone primaries were fantastic and very consistent throughout a run, and what you'd expect from combined tires.
On your left, from Patrick.
You won your first race with execution, perfect execution on fuel at Indy, and now you've won with kind of a dominant execution. Both wins, but which one's more satisfying?
Well, indeed.
Not to go in full out the whole time?
I mean, yeah, if I'd won Indy going full out, yeah. Still be 500, right?
All right, these two down in front, and then we'll close up.
You mentioned not getting the result the previous 3 years. Were there particular things in those 3 races? Was there any commonality in what held you back? Or
No.
You remember what they were?
I don't remember 16. I think we just sucked. 17, I crashed with Tony. And 18, we had a mechanical failure on the car. So that's all 3 different things.
Thanks.
Humble motivated have you been this season after coming so close to the championship last year? You've been obviously right there at the front of the field most of the season. What did you kind of learn from last year's championship run that you kind of carried into this season as you try and make a push for a championship?
I think the big thing is just not making mistakes. We had a good year last year, but Scott just had fewer mistakes than us, and that's ultimately what cost us. We had the same amount of wins, similar amount of podiums, but ultimately he just had one or two less bad days than we did. So I think that's the big thing. Obviously, it's this year. I think our competition definitely closed the gap to us in terms of kind of car performances. Obviously, a new aero kit last year, so I think we came out of the box pretty strong. So the fact that Andretti Autosport's been able to answer to that really from the first 2 to 3 races, we weren't great, but we were able to kind of self-diagnose what we needed differently from this year. There's different tire compounds, and just generally it's a new year, right? There's different conditions all around. We've been able to adapt to that pretty quickly and pretty well, and I think that's always hard to do. It's always hard to take a fast car and make it faster. So that's very impressive that they've been able to do that, and obviously can't do it without Honda's continual development as well. So in summary, I think it's just about minimizing mistakes and just trying to take advantage of the days where you have the car that's best in the field.
Sorry, we had a couple quick more. Chris and then Jim to finish.
Is there any kind of a cool factor in that you've wanted a track that you also want to add in early in your career, Formula BMW?
Yeah, I guess. From when we came here in 2016, my last time here was 2008, so 8 years had gone by, and I felt things kind of came full circle then, just by being here and competing in IndyCar. So the fact now that we've been able to win here is pretty cool. So there's not a lot of tracks that I race at in Formula BMW that I'm currently racing at. So yeah, for sure, I hadn't thought about that. So thank you.
Last one here from Jim.
Yeah, I just want to ask how satisfying it is. I think there was a couple races last year that didn't go to plan. I mean, obviously Detroit, here, and I know that as a team you guys kind of targeted those races to make big improvements, and you have. So I was wondering how satisfying that is from a team perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the team is being relentless, and we went into it this year, with an unbelievable amount of motivation to win this championship, and we felt that, we made mistakes last year. We had some bad luck, especially in Portland, and I think dictated the end result of the championship. So yeah, we know that we have the capability and the team and the performance to do it. So this off season was a lot of soul searching for all of us and trying to figure out how to go one better. And I think that's why there was a lot of the frustration the past couple of weeks, because we've been close but missing opportunities to Penske cars. So today was a good day to be able to kind of right that ship and hopefully start a trend for the second half of the season.
Alex, thank you. Congratulations. Welcome to the press conference room. We have Team Penske's Will Power finished second today. Red Group Grand Prix. Will, it's best of class perhaps today is the message of the day for you. Did you, is that how you saw it?
Yeah, I actually never saw Alex. Felt like I was just racing my own race, kind of with Josef, about similar paces, a group behind, I think, and that's all we had. It was a very clean day for us, 2 stops, no mistakes, reasonable car, we simply did not have the pace to run what Alex could run. I haven't rarely said that in my career.
You had a battle with your teammate. Obviously, he's a points leader and had to behave to a certain degree.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've actually got a boost penalty on that outlap coming out of the carousel there, so he got a big run, and so I had to just play it really clean, safe, keep ahead of him. Obviously, if he got a nose ahead or something, I probably would have just let him go. But then it was a matter of pulling a gap, so we weren't in the same proximity to battle.
I'm sure there's a lot of races where you're saying, well, I'd like to have a yellow here to bunch things up.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have mattered?
I don't think it would matter. Yeah, I don't think so. you know, rain would have been the only thing that might have helped us today. Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, well, Rob Martier,
We've been waiting for them here.
Oh, sorry.
Need for the transcript.
Thank you. Yeah, Will, Rob Martier, WLS AM radio in Chicago. You said reasonable. Explain.
Day?
No, reasonable car. You said
Yeah.
reasonable car. Explain.
Yeah, well, you know, let's say Alex wasn't in the race, I would have said I had a good car. But he's in the race, you kind of look at that pace and go, well, what are we missing? And it's kind of tough to pinpoint that because the car did not feel bad. It was a reasonable balance, not, you know, tires kind of went off a bit at the end, but yeah, it's hard for me to understand, you know where he can, how he can be so fast over a whole stint.
Thank you.
And joining us also from Team Penske, Josef Newgarden. Joseph, maybe the best thing to be said is you're still a points leader in a third place finish. But Will was just speaking of how dominant Alex was today. That was a half a second a lap he put on the field. It was pretty impressive.
Oh, that's funny. That's about what I figured it was, half-second lap. Yeah, it just wasn't, you know, we obviously didn't have enough today. You know, we were a little shy, probably a lot shy, actually. But we were, you know, trying to do what we could to catch back up and hold our ground. I think even just guys behind us were very quick towards the end, so just trying to hold our ground was tough in a lot of ways. But, yeah, Alex and Andretti, they were just, you know, they were too good for us today. So we've got to come back to the drawing board and try and figure out, you know, what we're missing. And, you know, I have confidence we'll do that. I think Chevy still gave us a great package today. We just got to keep tweaking on everything, find out what we need from the car, from the engine, and just make it a bit stronger. And then just having Rev Group on this weekend has been great. So still an okay day, just, you know, it's disappointing when you don't have enough. And, you know, I think we'll work hard now to go find what that is.
How was it racing with Will there in that middle section?
Well, I was trying to do what I could. I lost a lot of ground at the start. The left side was not the place to be on the start. And so once I got passed by the Rahal Lanigan guys, it was just trying to get by them and then try to catch back up to Will and give a little go to him. But I just didn't have enough. You know, I think we were pretty equal. I was kind of yo-yoing a bit. He'd pull out and then I'd catch back up and then he'd pull out again. So it was just hard to do anything really. We were just kind of in lockstep most of the day and pushing as hard as we could, and that's really what we had. What you saw is what we had.
Normally podium finishes are a little more enthusiastic here. This is interesting. Bruce, or where the mic? David Malsher has the mic.
Could you see in the breakdown of the sectors where you were losing out to Alex, and is it an ominous sign for Mid-Ohio in terms of which corners he was kind of like superior to you guys?
Well, we'll have to actually dissect the data.
We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. We saw it in qualifying. Just a bit of everything, but we'll have a good look at all the sectors during the race and the tire drop off and that sort of thing. For me to knock off half a second a lap would have been, man, been using to push the pass every lap type thing.
And with the Chevy's fuel consumption, was it dialed down? Was that part of the problem as well? Did you have your engine on full lean the whole time?
We did, yeah, for the most part. We ran lean a lot.
Bruce, on the far left.
You guys have had races like Alex has had today. How difficult is that when you're that far ahead that, you know, you don't see like the rabbit jump out in front of you, something unexpected? It's probably harder than it really looks to us.
I find it quite lovely.
It is. You have a gap like that, yeah. You can just, you don't want your mind to wander a bit. But no, it's nice. You're just praying there's not a safety car, there's not rain or something like that that takes you whole either way.
Yeah, that's a big thing. You just don't want to caution. You know, just stay green. But other than that, it's really nice.
Well, did you guys see the rock that was in the?
7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, is that what it was? The track coming off?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
It's like the rumble
curb.
strip. Yeah, the curb. The inside curb was coming
I
off.
wonder if they're going to resurface this joint at some point. No? I guess it'd be expensive, wouldn't it, to do the whole thing?
What was that a hazard?
What's that?
Oh no, it was offline.
The track's good. I mean, you know, it's nice. It's a good track. I just thinking like if these guys ever resurfaced it, that'd be a Wouldn't it be, right, that'd be expensive to do this track. Maybe just do all the corners or something.
Probably do it in sections.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris Jenkins?
Yeah, my question was also about the chunk of concrete. So you guys weren't lobbying for a caution or anything? What did that really
Well, yeah, I actually thought it was like dirt. That's what I thought. I didn't think I didn't realize to be careful over it. But yeah, if there's a chance, sometimes they get stuck under your car and you head off into the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, it was offline enough that I don't think anyone was complaining too bad about it.
Yeah. We should have been.
Dangerous. I'm not sure it would have changed the game much.
Yeah, you just had a shot at him up there, maybe.
Question from Wolfgang?
Only one, sister.
Only one.
A question for you, Joseph. You just said earlier that Chevy gave you, or gave Penske, a great package, and you have to figure out where you can improve to catch up with Alex. Do you have already idea where the car can be improved, so when it's not the engines, maybe chassis?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, I think they work in unison, and it's about optimizing both together. But I think we have some ideas of where we can be stronger. It's just a matter of implementing them. You can only do things so quickly, and we only have so much test time. So, I think there's ideas that we have of where to be stronger, and it's all around really. I think it's a unison between the chassis and the engine where we've always got to be continuing to push forward. But I feel confident that we have the best of the best. I mean, Chevy is, they're stacked with great people, and they have so much potential to always turn things around and do a great job for us. And I feel the same way about the team. So it's a matter of always making those the strongest together.
Patrick on your far left.
Will, to follow up a little bit on that, and also follow up on, you said, back to this whole reasonable question earlier. Can you leave here feeling good about, how you ran, and you feel like, okay, I did everything I could, or do you leave a little disappointed in that you got your butts kicked pretty bad anyway?
Yeah, I think we'll leave really trying to understand how to go faster. It's something that we review pretty extensively to understand how we can come back next year and be closer. So, once we get all sector analysis report and all that stuff, we'll understand more. But I mean, it's hard to win an IndyCar these days. So, for someone to have an advantage like that, we've got a pretty close look.
Well, are you lobbying for a repaved job here? I mean, how is it? Is that something you like to see or not see?
No, it's fine. I mean, yeah, of course, it'd be nice if it was repaved, but it's actually a cool track. It's a cool track. Yeah, I'm not lobbying for anything. I was just wondering if anyone knew, because I was just thinking, just lying in bed last night, and I just thought, that would be expensive. Quite expensive. It's a long track.
For people that don't know Will, that's just a genuine thought.
It's curious. It's not even
If anyone has the answer, just get it to him.
Yeah.
He wants to know.
They might like you to fork some of the bill.
Yeah. I don't want it that bad. I'm fine with the track. It's good. It makes it hard.
So for Will and Joseph, just, I know Alex has been really just strong. I think 3 seconds in the last 4 races. Obviously, Joseph, you beat him on a couple of those occasions. How good is Alex driving his race car, and how much they got that team going right now?
Yeah, I think their team's very strong. You see, like throughout their organization, including Colton, they've just got very strong race cars. All their drivers look good consistently, which I think speaks to the strength of their organization. So, like I said, I'll just repeat myself, but I feel confident in our organization. I think we've got the best of the best, and we can take the challenge to them, no problem. But they're without a doubt a tough competitor right now. They're very, very on it. Every track we go to, we've got to worry about them. So they're going to be tough all the way through to the finish, I think. I don't think they're going to have any places where they're weak, really.
We'll take our last question from Bruce.
Just throwing this out there, but do you guys ever sometimes think what it might be like to have Alex as a teammate?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, Joseph really wants him as a teammate.
I think it'd be awesome.
What about you?
Oh yeah, I'm good, whatever. Whatever, man. As long as I've got a job.
As long as you're not kicking me out, yeah.
Because yeah, as long as it's not replacing me.
All right, well, thank you, fellas, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, 3 weeks actually, and